Hi there, this is Chief Meteorologist Steve Lenore. A new tornado warning has been issued. This goes until 5:30, and it does cover portions of Love County and Carter County, as you can see on the red polygon. And this does include, this time, the city of Ardmore. Watched several of these storms kind of flare up and die over the last couple of hours. This one, though, looks to be more intense. There's a very tight core indicated near Leon. Folks in Leon should take cover immediately. This storm is right on top of you. May also contain some large and damaging hail, but there's a very strong indication. If you watch the storm with me in motion, it is ramped up considerably. The lightning production has increased. All the parameters suggest this storm is tightening up, is winding up into a tornadic storm, and is tracking northeast according to the National Weather Service at 45 miles per hour. So that would take it right across central Love County and toward Ardmore in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So Ardmore, you are included in this tornado warning. Meteorologist Brian Briggs here with me. There's going to be reading the parameters of the bulletin. I'll step out of the shop for a minute, Brian.
So this first warning that we are talking about, because we actually have two warnings now to talk about, and the first one is for Carter and Love counties here, and this one goes until 5:30. Again, this one's for a severe thunderstorm located near Leon, moving northeast at 45. Tornado and golf ball size hail possible with that. So locations included Ardmore, Marietta, Lone Grove, Leon, Overbrook, Rum Bottom, Lake Murray, Bernieville, and Courtney. And this does include I-35 between mile markers 13 and 36. So those folks need to get into their tornado safe place as well. We also have a concurrent tornado warning that was issued now for portions of Atoka, Cole, and Johnston County. We're watching another area of rotation that has developed there. So this one also goes till 5:30, but this one is located near Fillmore, moving northeast at 45. This one has a tornado and golf ball threat. Again, radar indicated rotation with this, but very, very dangerous. So locations included Atoka, Colgate, Wapanucka, Stringtown, Lehigh, Milburn, Bromide, Centrahoma, Clarita, Olney, Fillmore, Coleman, Phillips, Atoka Reservoir, and Boggy Depot Park. So folks need to be getting into their tornado safe place there. Now Steve is highlighting that area of location, or rotation I should say, that is located just to the south and west. It looks right of Wapanucka. So folks definitely there need to be getting into their tornado safe place immediately. That looks like it's going to be also tracking Highway 48 here in the not too distant future. So again, we were kind of getting a little bit of a breather, but overall it looks like the storm's kind of recycling and now presenting more of a tornado threat as well. So right now, again, they're mostly in southern Oklahoma. Haven't seen anything in North Texas yet, but it's all these storms that are kind of training over the same spots definitely could be producing a tornado at any given point. So folks, take shelter. Again, both warnings go until 5:30. Large hail is also occurring with these storms, and it looks like he's getting kind of some more of those details pointed up there on the board for you. So again, if you're just joining us, we're having to hop back on for two more tornado warnings. We're likely going to be going over the 5 o'clock newscast, and we'll keep you updated.
Thanks a lot, Brian. So we're monitoring, again, two tornado warnings. The one that we were watching this storm for the last hour with a tremendous amount of lightning in and over 2,000 strikes in 10 minutes. So a very intense updraft, the strongest storm in Texoma at the current time, and is now wrapped up enough to justify this tornado warning. If you're watching from Wapanucka, you're very close to the most dangerous part of the storm, so you need to take cover now in Wapanucka. This velocity couplet indicates the spin of the storm with the red and the green close together, and some bright contrast there. The more of that bright contrast you have, the higher the risk there's a tornado in that. And also, this storm has a history of producing damaging hail and straight line winds. In fact, all of Tishomingo apparently, and most of Kingston without power as this storm went through. Now, we don't think a tornado hit either one of those communities. We think that was a very strong straight line winds under the developing updraft base of this potentially tornadic storm. So that's the deal with this storm, and does include the communities of Centrahoma, Colgate, Lehigh, Phillips, and for sure Wapanucka as it tracks to the northeast at this time. Atoka, you're not included, okay? Here's the tornado warning border, and everything to the left of that is included. You are not included in the tornado warning currently, but we are expecting to see this situation move rapidly to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So that's stop number one. We do have an indication of a possible tornado over Carter County. That was the initial tornado warning we broke in for.
Looks like we now have two tornado warnings for Johnston County.
Okay, stand by.
Let's see here. Yeah, okay, this one's for Pontotoc, Atoka, Cole, and Johnston now. So we have three concurrent tornado warnings now popping up here as we go forward. So again, this one's also in effect until 5:30. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near the Reagan area, moving northeast at 45. Tornado and golf ball size hail. So you can see that 2 concurrent tornadoes now possible for Johnston County here overall. And again, this is kind of the newest development here for us. And this is radar indicated as well. This is going to be for Colgate, Wapanucka, Lehigh, Tupelo, Bromide, and Centrahoma. Pontotoc, Clarita, Olney, Reagan, I should say, Connerville, Phillips, Jesse, and Western Atoka Reservoir. So again, those folks need to be getting into their tornado safe place immediately. So again, large hail is also confirmed with these storms. They're not going to be easy to see. A lot of the circulations are currently rain wrapped. So folks, don't try to go out there. Of course, we're going to be checking in with our spotters here pretty soon, probably getting in on that one southern storm here pretty quickly. But again, dangerous weather. These storms really cycled up here in the last 15 minutes.
Brian, we do have a report now that Joe Biza is live and available to talk to us. He is heading down I-35 between Ardmore and Marietta. At the very least, we have pictures from that. So let's see if we can get that feed up. Okay, it's picture only right now. He's attempting to call us. Bad signal area, but we can see that he's on I-35. It's raining there once again. As he showed us in his last report, we've got these angry looking clouds. These do not necessarily indicate a tornado, and in this case, I can tell you they do not. There is a tornado warning effect for this storm, but the suspected tornadic portion is much farther west toward Leon, Oklahoma. If you're watching from there, you need to be in a place of safety, and I'll show you that radar picture in just a moment. But Joe Biza, one of our storm chasers, out there today giving us some good reports on where this storm has been, what it's doing. The first storm he tracked that kind of dissipated through Ardmore. Now, this is a new one that is forming back over southwestern Love County and right around Leon and Rue Bottom and pushing northeast, kind of over the same area the previous storm tracked on. We'll be getting in touch with Joe perhaps a little later to get some specifics on what he sees off to the left and right that you can't see in that picture. But I want you to notice those really angry clouds, chaotic winds caused that. That does not indicate a tornado by itself. That does not mean there's a tornado in that storm. That means we have a lot of confusing winds that are gusting out of the storm and interacting with the warm air around it. And you'll typically see this. It may look really scary, but that's not confirmation of a tornado. That just tells you, hey, this is probably a severe storm and there's something going on in there. To find out more, you have to tune in and find out what's going on with some more specific information. So we're going to go back now to Max, and here we go on the storm that's located over the Tishomingo, Bromide, Wapanucka area. I'm going to turn the lightning off because there's so much lightning, you really can't make sense of the tornado warnings. So as Brian told us, we have several tornado warnings that are kind of overlapping. One of these covers the area from just north of Tishomingo, I mean just on the north side of town really, all the way up through Wapanucka and Colgate. That does not include Atoka, but a new tornado warning has been issued for a separate storm cell that does include, barely, but it does include you in Atoka, and that goes till 5:30. So to loop this, you can see these storms are kind of all in a big blob, but basically what we're trying to tell you here is there are 2 circulation centers inside this complex of storms. Both are being warned on for the potential of rotation. So the first one is located off to the west here, just north of Tishomingo. Now, I know Tishomingo, you're probably watching on your phone because most of the town's without power. That has been caused by, we believe, straight line winds that came through, not a tornado per se. We're not sure, but we do know the tornado warning was issued after that. It is tracking in the general direction of southwest Cole County toward Tupelo. We also have this tornado warning storm now coming in toward Wapanucka. You should take cover immediately if you're in Wapanucka. Now, we just got a report, just heard it in my ear, that we have baseball hail at the intersection of Highway 32 and Highway 76. That's that same spot south of Wilson where Joe Biza was earlier. Now, he is no longer at that location. He's pushing farther south. But let me show you that, folks. These storms are rapidly intensifying, and that's one of the dangers we're getting today. So we are talking about right here that we're getting reports. There's, oh, that makes sense. Right here, folks, right here where I'm pointing the arrow, this is where we're getting reports of baseball hail. So that's pretty crazy and pretty consistent with what we're seeing here on the hail scope at this time. There's a hail core coming right through there. progressing to the northeast, so it may affect you in Ardmore. Folks in Ardmore need to be prepared for some damaging hail and high winds. And also the tornado warning this time does include the city of Ardmore. As you can see, allow me to highlight the tornado warning for you. It does include a big chunk of Love County, of course, including Leon. Leon, you're really in the most dangerous part of the storm right now. I want you to notice, as I pause the motion, the hook is located right over the Leon area right now. And you see that intense darkness there. That indicates the highest hail also. So we scan that quickly, and we can see inside of there, there's some velocities that would give us pause to wonder if there's a tornado in there. You see how the red and the green are kind of close together. In fact, we can query one of these little pixels and get some respectable values, 98 miles an hour. So we do believe there could be a funneling contact with the ground there. The odds are better than 50% based on that velocity. In my experience, it does not mean for sure tornadoes in there, but it's a tornado warning. Tornado warnings are issued for a reason. They're not issued out of hand. They're issued based on sufficient rotation to justify warning of that potential danger.
Hey, Steve, just real quick, too. We're also getting reports of 70-mile-an-hour winds likely occurring in Ada. So this is fresh off the press, too. We're also getting some of those reports of damaging straight-line winds with some of those storms off towards the north. So that's the other thing, too. We haven't forgot about you folks up there as we continue to get these warnings in. But, yeah, damaging winds occurring with some of these storms as they also progress through. Again, there's still those 2 concurrent tornado warnings I've been checking in with the National Weather Service, and at least right now, no major updates to pass along on that. At least right now, we got some spotters that are kind of off towards the south, but at least right now on the northern storms in southern Oklahoma, not really looking much like a big deal. So that being said, treat it like a big deal. A tornado could be possible at any point, especially with that one that was south of Wapanucka. We did see a more defined couplet there. But again, damaging straight line winds, we're hearing that at the very least with these storms, it's a mess. Look at all of that lightning that's occurring. And yeah, tornado could be forming at any given point. So that's the thing, folks. Definitely continue to stay safe. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on that. Again, 3 concurrent tornado warnings at the moment, and we're also dealing with some of those damaging straight line winds with embedded large hail reports at times.
Okay, so we have Joe Biza, once again, our storm chaser, live in Love County, Oklahoma, and we will pull up his video. And Joe, can you hear me? This is Steve at the station.
Yeah, I can hear you, Steve.
Okay, we're seeing some suspicious lowerings. I don't think those are tornadic in nature, but tell us what you see.
Yeah, I agree. It's just looks like some cloud cover coming. We're kind of on the edge of the storm over here off Highway 32 and 75, just watching back to the west. It is tornado warned at this time, but I'm not seeing anything that just stands out. I'm not seeing a wall cloud. I'm not seeing these features that looks, like anything significant at this time. I am keeping an eye on it. I'm gonna keep watching it, and we will have to move with it as we go, and we might be able to get a better position at some point and just kind of see what's out there. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing right now. Kind of just waiting for it to get a little closer. There may be something back in there behind that rain that we can't see right now.
Now tell the folks at home, so an ordinary untrained viewers watching that's not a storm chaser or a professional meteorologist, they see a sky like what we're seeing on your live feed. What should they do when they see that? Is that something that they should be scared of? What does that tell us?
I mean, basically what I'd be looking for and what I would say is if you look up there and you see stuff, sometimes the rotation is very obvious. Sometimes it's not very obvious. Sometimes the rotation is stuck back, in the rain shaft, and it's hard to see sometimes. But from what I'm seeing up here, this is just basically some low-level clouds. You have some scud floating around. I'm calling scud clouds. It's just kind of some clouds that hasn't attached itself to the main part of the storm cell. And we'll watch that scud to see if it's, what the rotation looks like. And we're looking for the winds that are coming and going, and it kind of gives a good picture of what's happening. And then sometimes you'll see moisture getting pulled off the surface of the ground, which looks like cloud rising up to it. And so if you see stuff like that, then yeah, that's something to definitely be concerned with. But this right here is just some kind of clouds hanging out. You got some rain you can see over here kind of on the right of the screen. And at that point, I'm not too concerned with that. It's not even really that windy here where we're at. But yeah, so that's kind of what we got. So.
All right, sir. Now, we did get a report, and we saw it on radar farther west near Leon in southwestern Love County that there was a rotation there, and they had some bigger hail over there. So I think that's the same storm's kind of coming back toward you right where you are. So
yeah, and that's what I'm kind of waiting on. I'm waiting for the backside of that storm to get a little closer to me so I can kind of see what's happening with it.
all right. Mr. Byes, I appreciate you so much. Stay with us. We'll come back to you in a little while here, hopefully without a tornado on video. But we do have a tornado warning effect, so we'll go back to that now and talk about it here. Meteorologist Brady Blackstock on the controls helping me out here, along with Brian Briggs. Of course, we're giving you a three-way action here because this is a big deal. You know, we do have a tornado watch in effect. We have a tornado warning in effect right now that covers this portion of Love County on up into Carter County, all the way through Ardmore and Lone Grove along I-35 there to about Dripping Springs. Now, inside that, the most dangerous part of the storm, we got a report of baseball hail at the intersection of 76 and 32. That's right here. We've got obviously a very big concentration of lightning in that same area. So when you have large hail and a lot of lightning concentrated together, that is a kind of a no-brainer that that's the most dangerous part of the storm. Is there a tornado in there? We don't know for sure, but there's the potential. With this kind of violent updraft, there could be. And even without a tornado, folks, and I say this all the time because it tends to be what's happening, is that underneath that cloud base, even without a tornado, there can be high straight line winds to 70 or 80 miles per hour. We're talking hurricane force winds possible even without an actual tornado on the ground. So we wait for spotter reports like with Joe Biza to see what's happening with him, and he's positioned over here on I-35 right now. He'll be monitoring this storm as it tracks in that direction, and he wants to stay safe, of course. You don't want to get too close to see what might be visible in there to help give you that much better idea of what you should do. But if you are in the path of this storm and you're located to the west of I-35, you should be prepared to take cover and not wait around to the last minute. Don't wait. Don't go outside and look for it. These are rain-wrapped systems, whether they're tornadic or just a strong rain shaft. You're not going to see much in there with this superhuman atmosphere. We call these HP or high precipitation supercells. They're the worst kind to try to be doing any sightseeing on, so please don't do that. Large hail is also a possibility. Currently in Ardmore, we've got some moderate thunderstorms with some rain, but we're watching this other storm. This thing is a monster. I checked it about 10 minutes ago. Putting out over 2,000 lightning strikes in 10 minutes. Do the math, that's 200 in a minute. That's about 3 per second. So really very high lightning production with these, which is often an indication that there's something going on. Now we have two cores. You can see them here, A and B, and actually a third one up here now near Ada. These are all producing a tremendous amount of lightning, and they all have a lot of white lightning bolts, which are the more recent ones. So this tells us that all three of these storm cores have potential to produce some damaging weather and a possible tornado based on the shear that we have also. And the tornado warnings are in effect for several locations. Now, Ada, you're not currently in a tornado warning. This dark red box is a flash flood warning from earlier rain, but now you got more coming in. So if you're around Ada, probably just stay off the roads. It's pretty stormy out there anyway. And we do have tornado warnings to your south. Let me get on this side of the screen so you can kind of see what's happening. So we've got a tornado warning that does affect Colgate on back down to Wapanucka. Tishomingo, you're just on the edge of this storm that has now moved away from you. So really, you're no longer affected by that tornado warning. As the storm moves away, the Weather Service will update the shape of that storm warning. But you can see here, it does include areas just west of Atoka. And here on Doppler 12 Live, you can appreciate what's happening here. We have really a large cluster of thunderstorms, and along the leading edge, where all this wind is blowing in. I mean, if you've been outside lately, if you're not in a storm area, step outside and feel that wind. It's coming in about 30 to 40 miles per hour straight out of the south. It's pumping in a huge amount of moisture. So anywhere these storms can get a hold of that moisture without any impedance, without any cool air coming in, they're going to really ramp up. And that's what they're doing here in this quadrant of our viewing area from Tishomingo back to Wapanucka, north of Atoka. These storms are also producing torrential rain. There's going to be some flash flooding with those. Not liking that for latex summer, but that's really a totally secondary issue at this point in time. The primary issue is, folks, these are dangerous storms. Now I'm going to get with Brian and Brady quickly, see if they have any updates from the National Weather Service on what's going on with both these areas of storms here and also back to the west of Ardmore.
At least right now, in terms of any sort of tornado warnings, I'm just kind of watching that area near Wapanucka more specifically that area of rotation seems to be holding a little bit better than the one a little bit further south into southern Johnston. But either way, still dangerous storms, of course. It's just the one to the northeast of Wapanucka, again, a little bit more defined, still showing some pretty good gate-to-gate shear. Just checking in at least right now.
Whoa.
They're kind of just talking, yeah.
That's pretty high there.
Still pretty pronounced.
Yeah, that core southwest of Colgate looks pretty compelling. I would say that definitely probably the worst one we've seen in the last hour or two. So folks in Colgate should take cover as this is tracking definitely more or less in your direction at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. But Brian, correct me if I'm wrong on that speed. What's the forward speed on this one?
It's about 35 to 40.
Okay,
yeah.
so we could do an ETA on that perhaps and give folks in Colgate a time frame. It's not much, so it's just a handful of minutes here until that gets into your backyard. So you can see Colgate at 5:10. It's about 10 minutes. Take cover now. Okay, please don't wait, because as we've seen with several of these tornadic storms today, they're putting down a lot of wind out ahead of them. And why is that happening? Well, we have very strong winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour up around 5,000 feet. So that strong wind is feeding into the storm and being pushed to the ground by the downdraft out ahead of the main storm. So even without a tornado, as we know from Tishomingo losing all their power, I got to suspect that some wind had something to do with that. Kingston, large sections of the city without power, probably wind related. So we're going to get some strong wind even without a tornado. So take cover now in Colgate, Lehigh also. Phillips, the storm is headed your way. You are under the tornado warning parameter on this very fast moving storm. Now 35, we've seen them faster than that today, but that's a respectable speed that'll get it there pretty quickly. Now down here around Tishomingo, we're scanning that one as well. Again, Tishomingo, you look to be out of the woods on this. The storm is north of you, not terribly far, a few miles north of town. We've got a velocity couplet here. Let's go to the latest frame on that. Is that the latest one? Okay, so it's also traversing the same general area. It may be that Cole County gets 2 storms here in the next hour with violent upward motion and possible tornadoes. Now again, it's a preliminary kind of thing. In these kinds of live broadcasts, information trickles in. If you have a damage report, something you want to tell us, you can put it on Facebook or give us a call, 903-892-NEWS. And let us know that, okay, that we can share it with other folks. But there's been some damage to the power structure in Tishomingo. We're not really sure what happened there yet. So if you know something about that, please share it with us, and we can give the folks downstream some warning. Most likely it was strong straight line winds. But you can see a bit of a donut hole here on the radar pattern, which often indicates the potential for very strong updraft associated with rotation and a possible tornado that would be west of Wapanucka within this tornado warning polygon you see here. Now you're thinking, golly, this is a mess. There's red polygons all over the place. Okay, this is the way the Weather Service does it to account for each storm cell having its own tornado warning. So many times if 2 or 3 of these things are kind of traveling in tandem, they'll have overlapping polygons. That's what's happening here. So that means that this storm is possibly tornadic, and it has its own polygon, as you see here, southwest of Ardmore. We're watching that one carefully. It's located now between Leon and I-35, south of Asphalt Road, okay? That's one storm we're concerned with. And we have 3 more tornado warning polygons over there in Johnston and Atoka County. Now, we're not seeing much here. The velocity pattern has really become very broken up. Can we do a hail scan on that? See what we got for hail. This storm seems to have weakened quite a bit, folks. I mean, look how the color scale has changed. The blue indicates perhaps half-dollar to golf ball hail. The gray generally indicates like nickel hail. So we have seen a steady decrease in that over the last 30 minutes. If that continues, which we certainly hope it does, then this storm would definitely indicate some weakening in its potential. This here was about 15 minutes ago at 4:45. You can see that Brady's showing the golf ball hail. Now let's go to the current frame and see what's happening since then. Brady. Now it's down to probably what, nickels? Let's check it now.
Maybe even less.
Dimes. So we're seeing a steady and a good trend on weakening there over the past 15 to 20 minutes. Brian, do we have anything new from the National Weather Service on either one of these tornado warning storms?
Not too much to pass along, other than they were looking at that rotation heading towards Cole in Cole County. Of course, they were not reporting any damage in Wapanucka, at least not yet, with that area of rotation. So, or that's going to be near Colgate, excuse me. So, looks like they just kind of updated the tornado warning for portions of Pontotoc, or the portion of Pontotoc County was canceled, but it looks like it still continues for northeastern Johnston, southwestern Cole, and western central Atoka counties. So still moving northeast at 45 miles an hour, and radar indicated rotation, still nothing confirmed on that. And we're also dealing with that possibility of some golf ball size hail mixing in as well. So all in all, still a very dangerous storm out there. Folks need to be taking this seriously, and these warnings are still in effect through about 5:30 or so. So that's one of the two. I haven't heard anything really out of the one that's still right on the Red River moving north. But again, they're monitoring maybe for additional thunderstorm movement. But of course, we were just looking at that, and it looked like the hail core was kind of coming down overall. So there's some good news on that. But again, not too much chatter on that other than that one storm heading into Cole County.
Okay, we got some video, I understand, from Lone Grove. Let's take a look at that, of some of the scary clouds, if you will, that are coming in across parts of Carter County. Now, scary clouds don't always mean anything. Sometimes they do tell you about storms. They can tell you about outflow. They can tell you about wall clouds, things like that. This looks like it could be a funnel cloud. It certainly has that configuration here from Lone Grove. Now, we've had a couple of tornado warning storms move through that area, and it's pretty hazy out there, but I got to say, it looks like there's a funnel cloud right there. Now, you can see it's not in contact with the ground, so this is a brief funnel cloud that seems to have been viewed over Lone Grove, and that would be consistent with that storm that went through there with some pretty high wind shear at the time. No reports of any tornadoes actually on the ground anywhere in our viewing area today so far. We've had several tornado scares, and if you're watching and saying, well, gee, none of these are producing tornadoes, they are producing damaging weather, though. And you get to a threshold where you have to say, okay, this storm is strong enough where it could produce a tornado any time. That's when we get in here and start telling you about it, because I think you want to know where it's going, where it is now, and what it's got in there, because even if it doesn't have a tornado at the moment we tell you about it, I would like you to watch this to give you an example of what's happening. Watch this loop as we go through the next 30 minutes or so. And so we see this couplet get brighter. When it gets real bright right there, it indicates a higher rotation speed and a better chance that something was happening southwest of Colgate and north of Wapanuck. It got very bright green there, probably over 100 miles per hour shear. Now, subsequent to that, it has gotten a little bit weaker again, but it may very well get stronger once again. These things are cycling. So by giving you these heads up, will help you make a better decision on hopefully taking cover and waiting until these storms pass. And that might be that nothing happens. Or you might get 80-mile-per-hour winds like you had in Denison the other night that blow trees over. Or you might get damaging hail. So all these are kind of on the smorgasbord of trouble when we have tornado warning storms. Even when you don't get an actual tornado, you're generally going to get something you don't want, and it's dangerous. So here we're seeing a hail core now around Colgate that, again, this is an estimator. Now, I got to tell you, it's pretty darn good. It may be anywhere from, say, nickel size to $50, quarter, kind of falls in the middle of that algorithm. Pretty good guess, though. Here we got some nickel size hail in a secondary cell to the southwest of that. None of this hail is huge, but we have seen that cycle through. Earlier, this same storm, when it was coming across the Red River and coming into Marshall County, had some golf ball hail in it. So these things will cycle. And I think that's the thing you have to really bear in mind with this kind of coverage, is that we're not just getting on the air to see ourselves on TV, okay? We want to really give you some good information that can help you make decisions. So maybe you want to go out to eat in 3 or 4 hours. What are you going to do? Well, this is a pretty persistent situation across the area. We think it will end from west to east as we go into the nighttime hours. But if you're watching from Durant, let's say, or Sherman or Paris, you haven't gotten anything yet. Your storms are still a ways off. But once they get there, it'll probably be more of the same. Torrential rain, hail, damaging wind, and maybe a tornado or two embedded in all this stuff. So that's what we're looking at here. It is a widespread severe weather situation. We're going to be having more of these tornado warnings probably right into mid-evening, folks, as we deal with this high wind shear event. And you know how humid it was today. That's like rocket fuel for these storms, okay? It just really take off when they get that and go crazy. Let's go back to that lightning display if we can.
And real quick, too, you were building on the heavy rain. There has been a new kind of widespread flash flood warning issued all the way up, pretty much from the Red River up to Cole and Pontotoc County. You can kind of see that denoted by the darker red, but about 1 to 3 inches of rain has already fallen, and an additional 1 to 2 inches are also falling as we speak. So it's It's problematic because those storms are sitting over the same spots. They're training. They're not quite moving yet. So this is really adding to the overall threat. Yeah, we've been tracking that tornado threat, but again, flash flooding just as dangerous in areas that have already been flooded out several times already this season. So again, folks, if you're going to be driving around, we're getting to that point where folks are getting off of work. Please be careful, and remember, turn around, don't drown. Doesn't matter if you can see the road or not. Definitely play it safe because you don't know if it's going to be washed out or not. We're going to be keeping tabs on that, too, as this system continues to evolve.
Okay, thanks a lot, Brian. And we do see now our tornado warning has been reconfigured for portions of Atoka and Johnston and Pontotoc counties. Let's talk about that. So, Tishomingo, you're no longer in the threat zone at all. They have readjusted the tornado warning based on where the most dangerous part of the storm is. So it is now over Wapanucka. You should remain in your safe place here until the storm moves out, which should be very quickly, because the actual part of the storm I think that's worst is coming up on Colgate. Now, we talked about that a few minutes ago. In fact, if you've been watching me a while, about 10 minutes ago, I gave you an ETA of 510 for Colgate. Well, we're there now, and you can see the storm is right over you in Colgate. So that is where the most dangerous part of that storm is. This tornado warning goes on up into northwestern Atoka County around Wardville and on up into the very northern edge of Cole County there, where it bumps up into Hughes County. So that's what we have right now with that tornado warning. There are two of them overlapping. You can see that. I know it's a little confusing. That's what the Weather Service does, though. Each storm cell gets its own tornado warning. This whole blob is kind of traveling in tandem through this area. And then, of course, we have our warning for you. If we go back to the west here, let's take a look at Ardmore. We have this tornado warning still that goes from the river. Now, Leon, clearly, the storm has left your area, so the warning now would be more valid for central Love County on up to Ardmore. We are seeing pretty intense core right here. Can we do a velocity scan on that right there, which would be due west of Marietta, Route 32. Let's do a velocity scan on that, see what's in there.
And just a heads up, too, you probably saw a new severe thunderstorm warning pop up. Essentially what they're doing with that is there's numerous severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing right now, so they're actually consolidating that all into kind of one giant severe thunderstorm warning. So just heads up on that. I mean, it covers pretty much the entire area at this point. So the other ones should drop off here pretty soon.
And so, again, the persistent nature of this, imagine you're sitting at a railroad track and the train's going by and just keeps on going by, cars and cars and cars. Well, that's kind of what we're getting here. We call this a training effect. Numerous storm cells just repeating over the same track in nature, if you will. So when we get this kind of phenomenon, it often causes some really bad flooding. And what I hate to see here is that all this water is falling into the Ouachita and Red River drainages, and that will affect Lake Texoma. We expect the lake to go up in the days to come from torrential rain, in some cases probably over 3 inches in the last couple of hours, and it just continues and may continue for several more hours. Now, that obviously is a secondary issue, but why I'm telling you about that is because if you're going to be going out this evening, even after the storms quit where you are, please be aware of flooding on roads, possible new potholes, eroded areas. If there's water on the road, please don't drive through there. There could be all kinds of road damage, especially with all the recent flooding we've had. And that's just another thing that's kind of aggravating this whole situation, this very slow movement of the storm band. Now, the storms themselves are moving along at a pretty good clip, about 30 to 40 miles per hour in this direction to the northeast. But the entire band, as you can see here, just ain't moving much to the southeast. So that's really creating a dangerous flood situation for us on top of everything else. We do have our tornado warning, which has continued here for the area around Ardmore and south of the river. Now, Brady Blackstock on the controls here. Brady, can we stop that and get a look at the velocity inside that cell there near Highway 76? See what's in there. Now, let's see a real good couplet, but there are a couple, actually there's one right there. And it's kind of a junky mess here, actually, folks, but there are a couple spots that look suspicious. That one west of Marietta definitely looks like it could have some strong rotation in it. Now, that is moving. It looks like northeast. Marietta, especially, we know how sensitive you are to tornado danger after what happened last year. We've got high shear on this, over 100 miles per hour, so there's a fairly good chance, better than even money, that we would have a tornado in there. Let's find out where it's going. If we can scroll that velocity back and forth, let's track that couplet and see where it's going. Looks like it's going to track north of town along I-35 here. It's pretty close. I would take cover in Marietta just to be safe. You are under the tornado warning area. As you can see, here's the tornado warning polygon. It does include Marietta. Even though you're kind of on the edge of it, just to be safe, I would definitely wait until the storm passes. Take cover now, especially if you live north of Marietta, though, along I-35 between there and Ardmore. This is the more likely spot for some danger on this storm. It's kind of wrapped up here a little bit. I mean, 100 miles per hour shear bears our respect. That definitely gives us, like I said, a better than even money chance, maybe 60%, 70% chance there could be a tornado in there. The higher that wind speed gets, the higher the chance there's actually a tornado on the ground. That's where we kind of get into a gray area with the science. So we know that there's a correlation between that number and the tornado likelihood. It's looking pretty likely on that one. And this tornado warning continues until, what time, gentlemen?
5:30.
5:30 until 5:30, so about 15 more minutes in Carter County. And I got to tell you, if this thing maintains that kind of strength, it'll be reissued. And I want you to be heads up in Ardmore. Now, guys, if we can take a look from our tower cam, perhaps in Ada, and see what's looking like off to the south of there. I know we've got some very intense thunderstorms also in Pontotoc County. Oh, okay. I understand there's been a lightning strike up there. The camera is temporarily offline. Not a huge surprise, because look at this lightning we've got going on here in the northern part of Texoma. Now, we talk about the northern part of Texoma, talking about Cole County, back to Pontotoc County, and that's where we have this intense thunderstorm. There's still a tornado warning on this, and that's the most dangerous part of the storm is right over Colgate now, or perhaps just to your northeast. It was over town 5 minutes ago, moving at 35 miles an hour. It'd be like 3 miles out of town now, so still in that general area. Hey guys, let's turn the lightning off. I can't see anything, and see where that storm core is. Here we can see the most dangerous part of the storm is pushing now up to northeastern portions of Cole County, and we'll be leaving our viewing area shortly. Still some very intense activity there. And there we can see it. We have a velocity couplet, pretty distinct. So whatever happened went through Colgate in the last 5 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the areas around Colgate have lost electricity. We don't have any confirmation of a tornado, but we've been tracking this thing for over an hour. It's a persistent supercell storm, a lot of wind. We know that the power went out in Tishomingo for some reason, probably wind, could have been lightning. Kingston also lost power, probably wind, could have been lightning. There's a ton of lightning in these storms. Another danger that should keep you indoors when storms pass. Even on the front porch, not a good idea. That is definitely not a safe place to be when this kind of activity is coming through. So, believe me,
we do have some good news. We're down to 2 tornado warnings now. Okay. We had 2 of them at Johnston at one point. They did go ahead and cancel the one that was in northeastern Johnston County. So, but they kind of retrimmed it and now kind of consolidated it with that one that we're still on between Atoka and Cole County. So, again, that one still goes till 5:30. Haven't heard much in the way of updates on the one that is now into Love and Carter County, at least for now. But we'll keep an eye on that and see where that ultimately goes.
Got some numbers coming in from the back in my ear. 2,700 people now without power in Johnston County. That's consistent with the idea that Tishomingo is pretty much in the dark at the moment. Now, if you're one of those folks and you're watching us on your phone, we hope that we're giving you information that'll help you. Right now, Tishomingo, you're no longer under a tornado warning. That has expired. We've still got severe thunderstorms in the area. We've got a flash flood warning that does cover much of Johnston County. Persistent heavy rain continues, but the tornado warnings have moved up into portions of Cole and Atoka counties. The tornado warning is getting smaller and smaller.
But they just reissued one.
They just reissued one. I came standing by.
Yeah, for eastern Cole and north central Atoka County. So it's still in the continuation, essentially. But this one is for 5 miles northeast of Colgate now, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. Still the possibility, too, of golf ball-sized hail wrapped in with this potential tornado. Again, radar-indicated rotation, so nothing quite yet. But we've been seeing some very, very consistent velocity scans there. So this is going to be moving northeast at 40 miles an hour, mainly for Colgate and Wardville in the Cole County area. So again, folks, definitely be taking shelter. Could be seeing hail up to the diameter of about 1.57 inches, or 1.75, excuse me. So that would be about golf ball size. So
Okay. And to clarify that, while I'm kind of jumping with you, Brian, because I want to clarify that folks watching from Tupelo are not in either one of these 2 warnings, and folks in Atoka are not in the warning. It's kind of doing a field goal, kind of thread the needle through there, going up through portions of Cole County, back over Colgate again, Lehigh, Phillips, that's the area that's affected. And you can see how these 2 warnings really overlap what'll be happening. It still consolidate into one warning eventually. But the speed of the storm, about 35 miles an hour, will take it over into Pittsburgh County over the next 15, 20 minutes toward Kiowa and perhaps north to Gertie. This was a quite impressive couplet, and in fact, we still have fairly high winds indicated here. So if you're in the eastern portion of Cole County, west of Wardville, you may be in an area that is very dangerous, and we hope you're taking cover. Now, to give you an idea, every viewer counts. We don't disregard you because you're out in the country. We had a big storm Saturday night that dumped huge hail east of Stringtown. Brady Blackstock and myself were here covering that, warning you of it. So we understand there's danger here, and we hope you're taking cover here in eastern Cole County, just like we would hope you'd take cover in Ardmore. By the way, you do have a tornado warning there as well. So we have to go around and try to cover all the storms. So we don't spend all of our time on a single storm unless that's the only storm we have to talk about. That's what we have to do to try to give everybody the alert that they need. I hope you understand that. And having said that, let's scroll over and check on Ardmore, see what's going there.
Steve, speaking of, yeah, Brady just let me know that that one is about to be canceled. So there's some good news on
Which
that.
one?
The one for Love and Carter counties.
Okay, can you tell me what the Weather Service said about that?
Yes. Yeah, that's all they said.
Okay, so this storm here, which you can kind of tell it's becoming stretched out across portions of Love and Carter County, and also the hail core. We've been following this storm for a while. There's been a good trend. A good trend meaning this thing is falling apart. This sucker's weakening, okay? So they're going to be dropping this tornado warning for Love and Carter County. So it looks like Ardmore, as far as the chance for a tornado at least, you're going to be okay for a while. There's still a severe thunderstorm here with winds possibly of 60 miles per hour. Could be some hail with that as well. But the tornadic rotation, you can kind of tell it's getting stretched out, so it's really seeming to diminish. And in fact, even the hail core is looking pretty anemic, and we like to see that with it down to probably nickel size or so. So again, the entire storm has started to lose some of its punch. And if you remember Joe Beja earlier talking about how we had this cold air kind of being sucked into the storm, that may have had something to do with that.
He's actually got a good shot. I don't know if you want to take it right now, but
Let's
looks
do it.
like our stream is good.
Let's take that shot if we have it.
You can actually see the base of that storm actually
That's a
very
live
well.
video, guys. Let's go ahead and punch up Joe Beja. I keep saying his name wrong. Joe Beja, great guy, and we really appreciate him helping us out with some of this coverage. And this is his live feed.
That looks like I-35, I would
I
imagine.
believe it is. You can see that, actually, let's see, where is that? Yeah, it's I-35 for sure. So he's on I-35, probably somewhere in Love County. He's been checking out the storms. He saw some lowerings earlier, but nothing ever that was conclusively tornadic in nature, which is good news. And you can really see by looking at the cloud pattern in the sky, the storm appears to be breaking up somewhat. We're getting more sunlight through here. We don't see all those chaotic, violent-looking clouds we saw earlier. Visually, this kind of ties in with the radar presentation, which is this storm is weakening, and that's why the tornado warning is being allowed to expire. Now, they're canceling that or expiring it, gentlemen?
Yeah.
So what time is that?
That should be, okay, so about 8 more minutes.
Okay, so technically we'll have to continue with that until it actually expires. We do have the warning zone in Cole County as well.
That one is till 5:45, so that one won't be much longer compared to the other ones that have been in line, at least for 5:30. So, yeah, they'll probably adjust it. I mean, that area of rotation kind of moving off towards the north, but we'll ultimately see where that one ends up. But I'm just going to check in real quickly. Also been monitoring Tulsa because, again, we're starting to see some storms inching a little bit closer to Pushmataha. But overall, this line of thunderstorms has been real sluggish. And, yeah, we just haven't seen the main disturbance kick these storms into motion yet. These have all been on the dry line, at least so far. And actually, the Weather Service is saying that the main disturbance that will sweep these storms through Texoma should be moving into southwest Oklahoma pretty soon. We'll see how it interacts with storms. That will kind of keep that tornado threat elevated through the rest of this afternoon and evening. But at least right now, this is kind of what we're currently dealing with. So, and throw it back to you.
Yeah, gentlemen, I'm worried about this flood threat, though, too. I got to say, go ahead and clear that scope off here. I want to take a look at the entire area in motion for a second. And right now, the tornado warning for Carter County will be expiring in about 6 minutes. The threat for a tornado here in the Ardmore region has diminished. We can't say it's gone because there's still a tornado watch in effect. And these storms still are feeding on, again, down to the south of this line of storms. Just wave after wave of untapped, warm, humid air feeding in. There's nothing to the south to impede that. So they are cycling. We do see a very definite weakening trend from this cell in the last half hour. National Weather Service says, yeah, we see it too. We're going to let that warning expire in about 5 more minutes. In the meantime, we still have these two concurrent tornado warnings, if you will, across really northern Cole County, extreme northwestern part of Atoka County, so Wardville and Colgate East. And we have seen a pretty good velocity couplet there, pretty good as in fairly compelling that there's probably something in there of danger. Okay, a wall cloud, maybe a tornado. It's tough to say without a little bit of eyewitness support on that, but that will be moving completely out of our viewing area very shortly. And maybe for a while there we can let you watch some news as we continue to monitor this for you. But the other thing I'm worried about is the flooding. We're really seeing this persistent band of rain in the same area. Now, with the kind of humidity we have today, I think you can probably imagine what kind of rainfall we're getting. Torrential. I mean, it's coming down. We've got flash flood warnings. That's this darker red. Okay, the bright red is the tornado warning. The darker red is the flash flood warning, which is covering now a big chunk of Love County, much of Carter County, much of the northern half of Johnston County, all the way back through Pontotoc County. And here we're doing the estimated rainfall. And click on some of those bright blue spots, guys. I bet you we've gotten a couple inches at least out of this stuff. And it continues to fall in that same area.
I think some of the warnings mentioned about a widespread 1 to 3. So that sounds to be that looks to be verifying according to some of the reports that we've gotten to warrant the flash flood warnings, at least for now.
And with the big rain we had just less than 2 weeks ago, the ground had dried out a little bit for sure, but it's not going to take much to cause a lot of runoff down not only into the Lake Texoma watershed, but also into the Blue River and the Muddy Boggy and so forth over here. And it's just going to make a flooding mess. We hate to see that with the Memorial Day weekend coming up, but that's the way it's looking right now. And we may get another 2 or 3 inches of rain on top of this as this thing is moving, really, I think, slower than the models indicated, gentlemen, coming through here. This may last up till about midnight. Now, it won't be still here at midnight. Hopefully, it'll be moving across Texoma from west to east. Okay, we've got a confirmed tornado now near Wardville. That's in extreme northern Atoka County, right here on the Cole-Atoka County line. That's where we've been tracking that very intense circulation. Let's go ahead, guys, and get centered on that, and then we can do a velocity scan. Yeah, Wardville's right up here on Highway 131 here, west of 6975. You can see that core going right through there. Oh, yeah. So that's where we have a confirmed tornado on the ground. Just tracking now into extreme northern Atoka County. Folks in Wardville should be in a safe place as this violent storm, which we've tracked for over an hour with, again, a velocity couplet that has come and gone. And that's why we warn you on these things. When they weaken, we don't write them off immediately. We watch them, see if they pick back up. This one has definitely increased once again. Can we get a little tighter on that? Maybe get Wardville to pop on the map. Well, shucks. Anyhow, it's coming through this area right now and doing so with a confirmed tornado on the ground. You see these bright colors from the red and green contrasting together. That's where the core of this storm has been tracking and gone right through Wardville in the last little bit. We expect that to continue to track to the northeast into Pittsburgh County, and that would be happening in the next few minutes. But in the meantime, we do have a tornado confirmed.
Okay, so, and Steve, just to update you, they did update the tornado warning accordingly now. So it's kind of more of the same we were talking about. They're saying located 4 miles northwest of Wardville, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. And again, this has been confirmed by emergency management in the area. Also, quarter-size hail being a big issue with some of these storms too. So again, don't try to look at this thing. It is a mess. Looks like Brady's going to be oriented it on our Doppler 12 here pretty soon, and it looks like there is some pretty healthy structure on this storm in general.
There we go.
Yeah, again, folks, get in your tornado safe place immediately. I'm going to throw it back to Steve. He's going to do a full screen on it.
Yeah, Wardville, of course, located west of 6975 on 131, and that's where the couplet I just showed you has roared on through there and will be approaching the Atoka-Pittsburgh County line shortly, according to the National Weather Service. In fact, the core of this storm is already located 4 miles northeast of Wardville, so whatever damage you've had in Wardville, you're probably through that now. It looks like the storm has already passed to your north and east. However, there's still a large, severe thunderstorm back to your southwest. So if you're in Wardville and you've had a damaging storm come through, you've had some tornado damage where you are, or your power's out, things like that, don't run outside. Not yet. We've got another storm coming your way, which has a lot of lightning in it, could have some dangerous hail. We don't have any indication of a tornado in this storm, but it's part of this complex of severe storms. So I'd like you to just wait this out for the next 30 to 45 minutes until all of these storms pass your location and you can safely go outside. That's what I would really like you to do to be safe there. Anywhere you've lost your power, of course, you're watching us on your phone if you lost your power, and please just wait and just defer that urge to run outside. I understand that, but we're not in a safe place to do that right now.
So we also are watching on another storm cell that's in Monte County. They're watching for increased rotation on that. They may be going with a tornado warning on that as well. Nothing confirmed, at least right now, but this one is going to be another problem child as it continues to push a little bit closer to us. Again, kind of stationary, at least for the moment here, but they are watching for a possible tornado warning, so we'll stand by on that. At least right now, though, the one that is still the current issue is that one confirmed tornado up into Cole County.
Now, Brian, that one, the northeast of Wardville, at the speed it's moving, will already be moving into Pittsburgh County here very shortly. Do you have any information on the update on that warning from the Weather Service? What the expiration time on that's 5:45, I believe.
Let me double check for you here real quick. Let me get in the right spot.
And that's this storm right here, folks, we're talking about.
Let's see. This would be.
Now here Brian's doing what they call a tornado debris signature or a correlation coefficient, looking for the possibility of debris being lofted into the air by the tornado. And if you scroll over here, Brian, a little bit to the right, we might see something there. I hope we don't. And we're kind of on the edge.
I don't have an ending on this tornado warning. Let me click something else and see what I can find real quick.
Yeah, you don't have a strong signature of that, which is good news. Perhaps that tornado was very brief and already lifted.
Looks like 5:45 is still the case.
We're operating, folks, in a little bit of a vacuum of information here. We did get the report that it was on the ground in Wardville. The storm has clearly left Wardville now and is moving up into Pittsburgh County. So in Wardville, if you had a tornado, which again, we got a report that you did, that has now moved out of your area and is tracking up toward KXII in Pittsburgh County. And that'll be the end of that. The warning will be allowed to expire at 5:45. But still, in the extreme northern part of Toka County, you're here in this very narrow sliver right along the border. You still have a tornado warning there. And this is a dangerous thunderstorm. It has a history of producing damaging hail, and we believe damaging wind. I believe this is the storm that caused the power failures in Tishomingo, very likely. And again, these kinds of things, as far as information, tend to trickle in. So if you've got something to tell us about storm damage, you can send us a picture, kxii.com/photos. We'd appreciate that. Help us give us a better illustration of what's happening in your town. You can call us at 903-892-NEWS. That's 902-892-6397 to report something. Now, please don't call us to ask us the forecast, okay? We're doing that here. Call us to report damage or something you know about, power failures, things like that, and that would be very helpful. Again, please don't call us to ask us, is it going to rain in my town? That's not going to help today. So again, we're watching this tornadic circulation that is moving into southwestern Pittsburgh County at this time. Colgate, you're in the clear on this. This storm is clearly to the east of you. And can we look at the tornado warning now, guys? Let's clear that scope off there.
Cole County, kind of northern portions of Atoka. It looks like they have two different ones, Steve. And so we still have this one until 5:45. But I do think most of the rotation was over, what was that, in northern Atoka.
I'm going to clear the scope off of here.
Yeah, last we saw it was moving through Cole County. And as far as any potential reports from the National Weather Service, the last we heard from City of Atoka Emergency Management near Wardville, which is right there, the northern part of the county, which, as Steve suggested, would indicate that this is heading into Pittsburgh County momentarily. And I know there's a lot going on the radar, but this is a big, big thunderstorm. So there's definitely nothing that you can see, but unless you're already out there. And so, yeah, it looks like they're going to continue. Oh, no, that's old news. Yeah, the tornado warning, still holding on to it. But as it continues to cross the county line, we'll likely get an update. It goes until 5:45 for another about 10 minutes. And that seems to be the one tornado warning we are focusing on right now. is that one that is crossing right on the Atoka-Cole border in Pittsburgh, kind of crossing into the county line. So as of right now, we're looking at this big line of thunderstorms. We just had 3 tornado warnings. Now we're down to 1. The one that was heading towards Ardmore was allowed to expire. So Ardmore, you're experiencing heavy rain, lightning, and potentially some pea-sized hail. We'll check on the hail in just a moment. But this is far from over. I know a lot of people on watching the live stream are concerned in Durant or here in Sherman, right here at the station, or even farther down to the east in Hugo, Antlers, and Paris. This is still going to be an all-night event. We're going to be tracking this till midnight. We're not even at 6 o'clock, so we still have 6 hours left of this. And you can see the storms forming over in Montague County to the far west. That's new development off the dry line, and those storms could definitely continue to track into Cook County, inevitably Grayson County. So we're going to continue watching this, but this is what it looks like right now.
It looks like the tornado warning now is just in extreme northeast Cole County now.
Right.
They updated that, but I definitely want to call your heads up attention to the fact that we can have this flash flooding going on. We've got flash flood warnings all along this line of severe thunderstorms, and these are mostly severe thunderstorms now. We have, again, just a tiny sliver of Cole County still under that tornado warning, but the tornadic cell appears to have moved into Pittsburgh County. That warning will be allowed to expire in 10 minutes. As Brian and Brady told you a couple of minutes ago, though, guess what? We're watching a new thunderstorm out here to the west in the untapped air over Montague County. Again, that means it's just getting a continuous flow of high energy air, very warm, very, very humid to feed into. And with it being now peak daytime heating, the dry line of our west, we're not seeing any abatement in the activity at all. So this could become tornadic. If not, it's severe. There's already a severe thunderstorm polygon described for that, for damaging wind and hail. And these storms repeating over the same area, causing really my concern for some pretty significant flash flooding that may last into the night, and even with the runoff lasting for several days into Lake Texoma and other area watersheds. Bad news there, folks. The system seems to be moving slower than we had expected as far as just really persisting. Now, back to the west, about 100 miles west of I-35 is the core of the upper system. Once that shows up, it should push this stuff out of here, but it may be another 6 to 10 hours. Now, Joe Beja had just reported that he's in I-35 zone right there in Love County, and no hail, just some heavy rain. So that's good news. That would be consistent with this storm located north of Marietta. And again, the whole storm has broken up a bit. That's why they did cancel the tornado warning for Ardmore. You are not any longer under a tornado warning in Ardmore. That was dropped about 10 minutes ago. The tornado warning for extreme northeastern Cole County is just
Yeah, let's check in with Joe.
We got some pictures coming in from
Do you want to check in with Joe first? He's sitting under the underpass in Ardmore. I know a lot of people watching us from Ardmore, and but this is his live shot right now. You can see some people hiding under the underpass, definitely not wanting to get. That almost looks like, is that where 70 and I-35 meet? That's almost what it looks like to me. But Ardmore and Marietta, so yeah, so probably just down a little farther south. Got off the road to take a look at that. And you can see the clouds. It's already kind of look like kind of the clouds after, but definitely not anything we'd need to be concerned about as far as further tornado development down there in Ardmore. But still, very intense situation going on, and looks like he's heading back on the road.
Yeah, this is a good example of, Brady, of how we can get these chaotic clouds that look super scary. And a lot of times what you're getting is the collision of the outflow from the storm and this warm, humid inflow around the storm. They're kind of coming together. The air flowing out of the storm is gushing out in a southeasterly direction. All the wind feeding the storm is coming in from the south or the northwest. So you get this turbulence there, and that's really all it is. Now, if you were a pilot, you never, ever, ever want to fly through that. But for an observer on the ground, typically what this tells you is that there's some rain-cooled outflow coming out of the storm. Now, sometimes that outflow can be very strong. In this case, we're not getting any indication of that. This is a severe storm, but these severe elements of the storm tend to be located back a little farther to the west and southwest of that. But again, noticing this persistent heavy rain just coming through here. The flash flooding danger is increasing, folks. Please do not drive into flooded areas, and everybody would just stay off the roads until all this stuff is gone later on this evening and overnight. There's going to be areas that we've already had some much high water, it won't take much to make those things like the Lake Murray Spillway go back over Commerce Street in Ardmore. That floods pretty easy. Things like that. Later on, of course, it'll be Sherman, Denison, and Durant, and Calera, and Cartwright, and Bonham dealing with this. But right now, it's this area concentrated here. Our tornado warning is really becoming almost a non-issue. It expires in just 5 minutes. We believe the tornadic storm has now left Cole County, but the Weather Service will technically keep that going for just a few more moments. Colgate, you're no longer indicated to be in this tornado warning. You can see Colgate down here, and just a little sliver of Cole County still under the warning, but the couplet has moved into Pittsburgh County, so we expect that to be the end of that now. Wardville may have been hit by a tornado. We did get a report of a tornado in Wardville. That was about 15 minutes ago. The storm has clearly left that area now. These things are moving along at a decent clip, about 35 to 40 miles per hour, so we have no indication that there's still a tornado in Cole or Atoka counties at this time.
Right. Yeah, and so we are only 5 minutes out, and I mean, this is just kind of the corners of Cole and Atoka. We just noticed on velocity scan that the tornadic part of the storm has moved on into Pittsburgh County, so I'm sure they'll continue with that warning, except, of course, outside of our area in Texoma. So I'm just going to kind of do the wide view so we can really soak in what all's going on and what will continue to be going on, because even though once this tornado warning is allowed to expire, guys, can we actually get on Max 1 real quick? Once this tornado warning is allowed to expire, we will go off the air, but of course we're not going anywhere, and we're still going to be hanging right by. I mean, we went off the air for a little bit. We had our 4 o'clock news, and then we went right back on when they issue these tornado warnings. I mean, that's going to be how this day will be defined, is that we'll be watching these thunderstorms very closely, and as they could redevelop and spin up, because the environment is still just very, very perfect for tornadoes to form. But of course, I mean, I'm going to turn the lightning back on this just to kind of drive home the point that these are some massive thunderstorms. It took out our ECU tower cam in Ada, and so we can't really get to see what's going on over there. But we just checked in with our storm chaser, Joe, and he was seeing the storms moving into Ardmore. They've definitely dropped in intensity by the looks of it, but they still are flagged as a severe thunderstorm warning. And in fact, the National Weather Service went ahead and just issued a giant severe thunderstorm warning for the entire area, just to kind of encapsulate all of these storms going off. Rather than having 7 different severe thunderstorm warnings, they just issued one of them, and that goes until 6 o'clock. But I do expect that to continue to get extended as these move. They are moving in a very interesting pattern, not so much to the east, kind of more to the northeast. So that doesn't give the all clear for everybody southeast of that. Everybody's still under a tornado watch, I believe until 7 p.m., but I do expect them to continue that as these storms go on, because every indication we've seen is that these are going to continue well into the night till most likely 10 to midnight. And as Steve mentioned earlier, flooding is becoming a big concern. That should be no surprise. All the storms and tornado warnings we saw in April, all the rain, all the lake levels rising, it doesn't take a whole lot of rain. And given that these thunderstorms are now kind of just are very big and not moving very fast, flooding definitely going to be a very big concern. Again, as we've gone through this weekend, we know that tornado warnings are the scariest, but we've seen issues with damaging wind, hail destroying cars, and of course floodwaters will become a concerning issue as well. So as far as any newer updates, I think they're just kind of waiting and biding their time until 5:45 for this storm that is now exiting. But you can see just how it is the biggest part of the storm right there in northern Atoka County. And I know kind of missing the city of Atoka for the most part. They're getting some heavy rain and definitely seeing this lightning move through, because I mean, I know that they had a bunch of power outages, and it looks like they've already gone ahead and redrawn the new tornado warning that is going to be downstream from the current one, and it looks like they are just going to wait until 5:45. So just for anybody that knows anybody up in Pittsburgh County, just right up the way from Atoka County, that tornado warning is being extended. We saw plenty of evidence of circulation moving through Cole, Atoka County. We do believe the worst part of the storm has exited Atoka and Cole County, so we're just about a minute and a half away from 5:45 when they'll drop this entirely, Steve.
That's right. I wanted to give folks a couple of rainfall reports before we head back to our program, because once this tornado warning is allowed to expire, we'll be doing that. But we've got torrential rainfall. Colgate has had 1.70 inches of rain in the last hour. Ardmore, you've had about 1 inch of rain in the last hour. And Fitztown, that's in southern Pontotoc County along 377, $124, 1.24 inches of rain in the past hour. So this is flash flood rain, folks. And again, I really can't overemphasize the danger of flash flooding going into the evening with this persistent band of storms just dumping it in the same zone. Now, when that starts to move southeast into the Highway 69 and 75 corridor, y'all are going to get the same thing. Very heavy rain causing roadway flooding and problems like that.
Did you hear
Now,
that, Steve, about Roosevelt Bridge?
No, I did not.
Okay, Roosevelt Bridge is being closed by ODOT.
Okay, that's not good news there. That's the one, of course, that's on Highway 70 crossing Lake Texoma. They're closing this, not sure why, but could be storm damage, could be flooding, we're not sure. Also, we did get a report in Alney in Cole County of people trapped in a cellar, possible tornado damage there. So we are seeing some violent weather, folks. But the tornado warnings have been allowed to expire. Brady, if we can go to a wide view quickly, show folks what's going on across the entire area. Again, we're watching this thunderstorm in Monte County. It could become tornadic. It's not right now. Flash flooding is our main concern at the moment. Keep it on News 12 and your Weather Authority app. For Brian Briggs and Brady Blackstock, I'm Steve Lenore. Back to the show.